let's do it on my studio. Roll the cool hype sequence, B-roll, you know, roll the thing. This is gonna be a little different because Riley's gone. He's in California filming. I'm gonna try it a different way this week and drink this green stuff. It's really not cool. Maybe it'll turn my teeth green though. Strangely, I do like it though. So I built this room a little over a year ago and it used to look like this. The room was essentially an outdated den in our house, but I definitely saw a lot of opportunity with the bones. So the room is about 21 feet by 13 and some change. So it's roughly 273 square feet. And then I did all the bass trapping around all the walls. So that kind of chopped off, let's say 60-ish square feet. So at the end of the day, the room is, let's say 215 square feet, just because it sounds like a nice round number. Anyway, I use this room for a lot. Obviously, I'm a music guy, so I mix my sounds in here. I produce music. I'm a musician. I do remote drumming. You know, you can hire me at ANDREWMASTERSmusic.com. I don't know if you are into that or you can book. But I'm just saying, ANDREWMASTERSmusic.com if you want to check that out. It's kind of cool. Needless to say, my goal was to create a highly functional yet still creative space where I could do all of the different things that I do in this room without having to change much when I'm switching between the whole music thing and the whole video thing, because it's just it just sucks moving stuff around. I want to be able to plug and play and just go. So here, let me just show you. I'll do the thing. I'll show you around. But before we do, please tap that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Okay, here we go. Honey?
Yes?
Are you down to learn how to use this?
I already know how to use that.
Are you excited?
Yes.
All right. So let's start at the front of the room up here. Up in the front corners of the rooms, I actually built these frames separately from the wall, but I mounted them on door hinges. This room has no closets in it. There's no storage. So on this door, I actually have shelves that I added in here for things that I don't need to access as often, but definitely super useful for basically hard drives. There's a printer. I have a dock back in the corner which holds 22 terabytes of external SATA drives. What's cool about that is there's a USB 3 cable that connects the hard drive dock out through here behind the desk where I have my computer. As you can see, there's almost no cables on the floor, which is something that is a big part of how I set everything up here. Back here behind the desk is where my computer is mounted. I actually have it mounted underneath the rear shelf of this desk. This rear shelf is actually holding my computer, this little hard drive dock here, my computer monitor, which is on one of these boom arms. It's got this light on it, the Apple TV, and my studio monitor. So it's holding a lot of stuff. It's a super sturdy shelf, which brings me to the desk. This desk is from a company called Danger Fox. It's a 24U Genesis, which means there's 24 units of rack space inside of it. I'm running my Mac Mini, which is 2018 Mac Mini. Runs great. I do all my music production. I have no issues with that. Audio interfaces, I'm using the Universal Audio Apollo system. I have the X8P and the X4, which are phenomenal. Universal Audio, the whole hardware software ecosystem is fantastic. I'm using this Warm Audio WA273, which is 2 channels of their 1073 clones. Just fantastic. There's no EQs, but you got the pre-high pass filter, line trim, you know, phantom power, instrument in, all that stuff. Got the desk boom arm SM7 on here. Up on top of the racks, I have a couple keyboards from Arturia. This is the Keystep 37, and this is the Micro Freak synth. As you can see, everything is hooked up, ready to go at any point in time, so you can just sort of plug and play. Oh, and then the studio monitors, which are Atom Audio A7Xs. These are actually my favorite studio monitors that I've used so far. These things are really, really cool. I'm saving up to get some Sound Anchor stands for them. Also, this is a little low for sometimes I sit high, so I think getting them off the desk will just really utilize this whole part of the room. So really excited to get that. I think that's everything on top of the desk. If we look down below the desk, I have a few things going on. This is the 10-inch KRK sub. I've used this for a couple years and it's been good. I'm pleased with it. And then since I tend to jump around from instrument to instrument, I've got some guitar pedals that are set up down here. These are ready to go for guitar. Obviously you can use them for reamping and control them, you know, from just sitting right here, but they're still out of the way. Got some space in the middle to put my feet. These are a new buy, which I got these from Jordan Kreitz. If you guys saw that video, these little hooks from Amazon, it's probably kind of hard to see, but they were, I think I got 5 hooks for 13 bucks, which is so cool to have, you know, just a guitar cable and a set of headphones right here. So I can literally, I don't have to get up, I can just reach for them, but they're not on top of the desk, they're not sitting on the floor, they're not in the way. Love that. And then to my left over here, we have a couple keyboards. This is my wife's keyboard.
Keyboard.
Yes, this is the Kurzweil PC3K8. It is a fantastic keyboard. I don't give this keyboard enough credit. I know my wife's glaring at me right now. This has a huge sound bank in it and really great sounds. 88 key weighted keys. It plays super well. Love it. My wife loves it. She's had it for a long time. And then over here we have the Akai MPK261 MIDI controller. Great MIDI controller. Obviously, you know, just getting data out of this. You got the pads, the knobs, the wheels for, you know, if you're using organ or anything like that. Everything here sort of serves its own purpose. I have all of the keyboards routed MIDI to a dedicated MIDI USB hub, and then whatever can generate audio is running through the interfaces through console, so that you can just walk up and just make sound and play, which is, again, love that. So as far as the guitars here, let's start with the Martin. This is my wife. She has all the nicest stuff here. This is a Martin 12-string acoustic. This thing is absolutely beautiful. It sounds great. I recently took half of the strings off because it just sounds so good that
sounded better as a 12-string.
It sounds amazing as a 12-string, but it also sounds amazing as a 6-string. So we gotta get another one of those. So we can. And then over here, this is a fun guitar. This is a very cheap Yamaha. I think it was like 250 bucks. It's a small body, so not very big. It has a very particular small and bright sound. Doesn't work on everything, but it's a really fun.
You genuinely love that guitar. Like,
yeah, no.
You've been playing that forever.
It's a great guitar. I actually want to restring this high strung because I think this would be a good guitar to double with 6-string. Next to it, we have this Guild, which is a bit of a mystery. Ariana's mother, my mother-in-law, bought this here in Nashville like 20 years ago, and they got it from a local guitar shop, and the story goes that it was once owned by Alan Jackson, which would be really cool. I kind of dismissed it the first time Ariana showed it to me because there's no pickups, and I was like, what is this? It's a small body, these kind of cheap feeling knobs. So I didn't use it for years, and then last year I plugged it into my amp I no longer have, and this thing, it's so good. It sounds really, really great. Was very disappointed that I wrote it off because of how it looked. Sounds amazing. I still don't quite understand how it works or what's going on, but I kind of like the mystery. Next is this Green Day guitar, which is cool. I got this when I was 15 at a Green Day concert. It's like a shtick they were doing on a tour where they'd pull audience members up on stage. As a 15-year-old, it was very, very cool to go up and play with Green Day. What's funny about this guitar is it's a Fender Squier, so entry-level guitar. I don't know, I think they did something to it because it's very heavy, and this guitar is set up better than any other guitar I've ever played. The easiest guitar to play. It's literally always in tune. Always in tune. A couple years ago I went through and swapped all the pickups. This guitar sounds good. It is a Squier, but I love it. I play it all the time. All right, next we have this Music Vox, which is a bass. It's not my bass. This is actually Matt Mahaffey. Matt, gotta give you your bass back. This is a cool bass. The Music Vox company that makes them, they make some really interesting instruments. It definitely needs to be set up properly, and it probably needs a new set of strings. I don't use it very often, but it looks really great on the wall. While I'm here, let me just mention, I just added these in a couple days ago. These particle board mounted directly to the bass traps, which are holding all of the guitars here, which is nice because before, you know, with the studs, I could only fit two. I think I had two.
You had 3 guitars up
I had
here.
3 guitars up here, so now there's 4 guitars, so more guitars. Obviously, I didn't want to put too many up here, keep a little space between them. This is a Boulder Creek. Actually, this was a gift from a friend of mine. This is just like sort of a rocking chair, old man guitar. This is really fun. Sound holes on the top. Doesn't work on everything. It has a pretty cool thing. I've used this on a video back in the day, and it sounded really great when it was mic'd over the shoulder. So you can't really mic it in the front because no sound hole. Where did we get these?
I got those from World Market years ago for a spice rack. I mounted them in the apartment.
So World Market spice racks that I use for just random things that I'm reaching for. Knives, straps, cables, adapters, headphone stuff, cable ties, tape, you know, gaffer's tape, all this kind of stuff. Duster, super huge. I need to get more lint rollers. Lint rollers is probably the thing that I use the most in the studio right next to the coffee machine. I actually opened up the window when I first built this room. I actually covered up all the windows. We wound up opening this. I made a whole video about it, but currently using it, added some shelves in. Everything's separated, so I've got data, you know, USB, Firewire, wall warts, IEC power cables, headphone adapters, audio adapters, light bulbs, instrument, guitar, cables, stuff like that. Everything has its own place. Up here, just a couple, these are actually angle braces for the shelves that I put in. Just using them as hooks, super cheap. Guitar straps, extra headphones. These are more of those hooks that I was telling you about that I got off Amazon. Look at these. I love this. They're really strong, actually. But they don't stick out too far like those, so you can still maintain more volume in the room, which is really nice. This takes us to the back of the room, which there's a few things going on back here. Obviously, Drumland. This is my Slingerland. It's a 4-piece Studio King. It's wrapped in a champagne sparkle wrap. And yeah, this is like a very small section of the room, but I have like completely utilized how everything's set up. I've got the 16-channel XLR strip here with 4 headphone outs that runs. You can see the spool. It's kind of sitting on the shelf here. Runs underneath the rug up into the desk. Soon to be going into a patch bay. I have a patch bay back ordered, so it's not here yet, but that'll be cool to like expand on my setup to have a little bit of a hybrid of out of the box and in the box. I think I'm gonna make a whole video on that. But back here, I have everything completely mic'd up. As you can see, the floor there's no cables. Like I wanted to be able to have everything record ready, completely mic'd. I think I have 14 mics on the drums, and there's no mess of cables. And there's, you know, obviously I'm doing videos, so there's lights everywhere. So first one I'll say is the newest addition. My overhead mic is on this boom arm that I actually just mounted to the ceiling. I'm most excited about this because
Yeah, he's giddy.
yeah, no, this has been like, I'm really, really proud of this. So this thing is cool, as this is the newest edition I just added. It has, obviously I can tilt it, I can rotate it anywhere over the kit, and then I could also pop the R88 off and put like a stereo bar up if I wanted to do condensers. So the best part about this is it gets the mic and the stand off of the ground, which when you're working in a small space like this is crucial. There's just only so much space in the room, so anytime you can put things on the walls or hanging from the ceiling and keeping all of this nice open floor space, it also prevents accidents. You know, if somebody's walking and they trip on a cable or they trip on a stand. I've got a 3-year-old and pets, so it's really nice to not have that risk, especially with a microphone like the R88. So on the kick drum down here, I have the Beyerdynamic M88, which is a cool mic. I'm testing it out right now. And then this is the Dr. Alien Smith sub kick, which if you guys saw, I did a video on the sub kick and the dirt mic. It's actually an amazing mic to record with and monitor while you're recording, because it's got a distortion circuit in it, so it's essentially just hyper compressed. But I did a video about that. Check that out if you guys want to. It's a super fun mic for drums, for vocals, and a bunch of other things. On the snare drum, I'm using SM57 on the top, and then on the bottom I have the SM81. On the toms, I'm using the Beyerdynamic M201s. These are hypercardioid dynamic mics, and they pretty much sound great on everything. And then on hi-hat over here, this is the Beyerdynamic M160 ribbon mic. Depending, again, sometimes I'll use this, sometimes I'll use the SM7 on hi-hat, other times I'll use the SM81. Again, it all depends how bright, how dark I want the kit to sound. So I have this little table here, wireless keyboard and mouse to control the computer. Right across the drums I have this giant TV which is connected to my computer, so I can do, I can control my computer rig while I'm sitting here at the kit. Obviously plenty of floor space here, which is really, really nice to be able to get up and move around. Stick bags, keep a set of cans here, so when I'm sitting and recording drums I can, grab the cans, put them back, don't have to lose things or keep them on the floor. Next to the table I have these shelves, a couple extra drums here. This is the Slingerland kit snare that came with the kit. This is a Ludwig piccolo. Honestly, don't use these snares too much. My snare that I use is a Ludwig Black Beauty shell that was assembled by CNC, and I just use this thing nearly all the time. On that note, I wanted to mention I just got Aaron Sterling's Sound of Sterloid masterclass. If you guys haven't heard it, you should check it out if you're a drummer, because it's a really amazing series of videos that he put together explaining how to manipulate your drums as a drummer to get all sorts of crazy sounds, using what you have. So check that out, Aaron Sterling. In these baskets back here on the shelves, I have a bunch of extra clips, stuff like that, and then percussive toys. This is my favorite. Everything back here, I love. This is my zone. Obviously drummer, so love everything back here. This was one of the new additions. This is like cheap carpet that I got from Home Depot. These are old, whatever, exterior doors. I just wrapped them with this carpet to sort of deaden it back here. As you can tell, it's super dead back here, which is really, really great when you're not in a properly treated room. I hung these clouds up here. These are just 2x4 clouds suspended with some anchors and some chains, so I can, hang put these up, pull these down super easily. I've got the panel here next to the kit, 2 clouds above, and then I put one on the door over there. And then obviously the fridge for beverages, coffee creamer, juices, waters. This is like a little office supply, notepads, writing utensils, tools. I just added in this third shelf here. Obviously I'm keeping a lot of mics up here, and then sort of random stuff like when I'm drumming, I'll have my drum keys over here, an extra mic clip. These are called tuner fish. They're actually functional lug locks, which are really great for drum tracking. If you're just a drummer in general, you want to keep your stuff in tune, whether you're doing live or sessions, super helpful. And then up here, I have sort of dynamic mics that I'm actually swapping out. This is the Rode podcast mic. I don't remember exactly what it's called. Warm Audio 87. I think this is generation 1, Gen 1. I don't know exactly what they call it. I think they updated their 87s. And here I got the D112, some Audix i5s, D4s, SM57s, there's an SM81s, and I think there's a Sennheiser E609 in there. Then in these, one of these is empty. This one has the Groove Tubes GT66 tube mic, which I think that company doesn't exist anymore. This is a Studio Projects B1 condenser. This was my wife's. When I met her, she had this set up with her keyboard, a little Pro Tools rig. It's sort of what sealed the deal. We've got some new mics. This is the SonarWorks reference mic. These are some Biodynamics, the 201s, the M160s, the M88. These I haven't tried yet. I'm gonna be trying these soon. These are a company called Lewitt. I believe that's how you pronounce it. These are the 440s. They're kind of like a large diaphragm, kind of 414 condenser type thing. And then these are Pento condensers, LCT 40s, match pair. Excited to try those out. This is just the box for the drop headphones, which I keep by the kit. Really like those headphones. Clamps. If you're miking the drums or anything and you're using packing blankets, moving blankets, extremely helpful to be able to clamp your blanket to stuff. I have way too many because they're just cool. These might be useful for other home studios. These are just Velcro cheap curtains. So you leave the house, obviously you see the big studio here. Not big, you see all the gear in here. Velcro, so I can just attach these right to the top, cover the windows. They don't look that great, but you know, gets rid of the reflection from the window. Obviously you can't see in, so privacy. Amazon, link in the description. Coffee Land, coffee, tea, obviously classic pot. This is the coffee that I used, pure roast coffee. The house blend. This is the best one with the creamer that I use. Check it out. Tea. Nobody drinks tea because why would you ever drink tea?
Vocalists drink tea. That's why I got the tea.
DVD player down there. Throw in some old school DVDs connected to the TV. We've got the Apple TV, so you know, clients here or whatever, if you just want to throw a movie on. Now let's talk about the things that are more recent and very exciting to me, which are lights. So something that's very interesting to me about studios and probably to you, I'm doing videos here obviously, so something that makes a big difference in shooting videos and just sort of having a creative space are lights. And I've got sort of a cheap solution to doing them, which is nice for home studios because you can just, it's temporary and you can change it. These are $10 work lamps from Home Depot. It's literally just clamped to this unistrut that I strapped to the ceiling. And then I just bought these Philips Hue bulbs, which are connected to Bluetooth, so you can set and assign colors to them and then literally create a scene that I can just flip on when I'm gonna shoot a video and change or whatever, depending on what I'm doing in here. Love these. I've got one here that goes on this TV wall, one uplighting the kit. Get that sort of teal and orange sort of thing, blue and orange, whatever it is. And then up here is my key light, which is hopefully soon to be replaced. This is a Amazon softbox kit that I got for $60. I got two of them. Came with two stands and a little little baggie. The video you're watching right now is the 100th video on this channel. Keep them stationary here, but then when I go to other people's studios, I will take them with me. So, I mean, 60 bucks, it's pretty good value for what it is, but I am looking to get the new Aperture M200D or whatever they're called, the 200D lights, because it's just gonna be more light and a proper dome or whatever. So the lights on these doors that I built are actually just cheap little lamps that are switchable. I mounted it to the door and then I built these little covers. This is literally just the same shelves that I use as my shelves. It's just Home Depot shelving, and I just slapped some nice finishing wood on the sides, and voila, you have indirect tungsten light, which is really nice for long work days. You know, it's nighttime or whatever, you don't have bright lights. Any little bit of creative coloring, all that stuff is super helpful for, you know, doing video, if you're doing content as a musician or a songwriter or whatever. Very cheap solutions. Again, 30 bucks work lights. The Hue bulbs are not cheap. These were 50 bucks each, so 150 bucks in bulbs, but 180 bucks for 3 different lights that you can control from your phone. $60. I have a second one of these, not in the room right now. Before I wrap this up, I asked you guys to leave some questions, so we're gonna just do a quick Q&A before I wrap this up. All right, now that it's after midnight, literally hours before this video goes up, I asked you guys on my Instagram, also on YouTube, on a post for some questions for a Q&A. This is the first time I've done this. If you guys like that, you know, go follow me on Instagram. I'll post stuff like this every once in a while. We'll throw a Q&A in every once in a while at the end of a video. Okay, so the first question is from Rodrigo. How do you talk with clients when you need to change their idea because it's not good? The first question I would ask myself is, am I being paid to give ideas? Or am I being paid to, you know, what am I being paid to do? Figure that out. If you are being paid to give ideas, then you just need to, be direct and you need to be honest. Obviously, use good judgment. You know, the best way to do this is to get on the same page as the client. Let the client know, like, as long as the client feels like you have their best interest at heart, you can be tactful with how you do it. Like, hey, listen, we got this idea down. This is cool. I'm glad we got it. I have another idea. It might not be good, but let's just give it a try. You know, maybe we'll keep it, maybe we don't, but this way we can at least try a couple things and then we can compare and see what we like most. You know, you can be diplomatic with how you know, deal with that. Second question is from Yohai. What's up, Yohai? Do you have a specific input gain level when recording live instruments? I would say yes and no. Typically, if I'm using like a unison pre of like the Neve, you know, I kind of know how many clicks I'm gonna, you know, use for the kick drum or for the snare, depending on what the instrument is. Ultimately, you just want to decide what kind of sound you're going for, and it's, you know, typically I'm doing that on a case-by-case basis depending on the song. So sometimes and other times no. Third question from Liam. What's your opinion on using tape machines for mixdown? I love tape. If you have a tape machine and it's a very easy setup, you know, for you to use, I think that's awesome. And you have some good clean tape and it sounds good and you like what it's bringing to the table. Yeah, for sure. Question from Mark. How to get clients starting out? I mean, you gotta just like start somewhere. So, you know, for me, when I started, I was very young. So I would record everything for free because honestly, I didn't even know that you could make money recording. I just really enjoyed doing it and wanted to figure out how to get that sweet Nickelback sound. So yeah, just record, you know, as many people as you can, get as much experience, try a bunch of different genres of music. You gotta also work up, like, getting clients is much more than just being technically good. It's gotta be a people thing. You gotta be enjoyable to work with. You gotta be on time. You gotta be fast. You gotta be good at what you do. And you also just have to be like, people want to work with people that they want to be around. You know, if you're a pain in the butt, then people aren't going to want to work with you. So I think practicing your technical skills as well as practicing, you know, your personal skills, your business skills, your logistic practical side of like making your job happen as fast as possible while also being a good hang, you know, whatever you can do, you know, work on that as much as possible. You gotta decide at some point when you're gonna start charging for what you value your time at. So, oh, here's a good one. This one's from Brandon. What are the first rack mount units you would recommend after a power conditioner? Well, obviously an audio interface. If you have a rack mounted audio, like I have the X8P, which is rack mounted, I got that well before the power conditioner. But if you're going for something else, I would say maybe a couple, I mean, this is my bias opinion. This is what I did. I got a couple external mic pre's. These are the warm audio. I went through this in the video. Obviously you saw that. Good set of pre's that are different than the built-in pre's on your interface, and that just bring something else. Obviously, if you're working in overdub fashion and you have some nice external pre's, now you can just use this on everything. You know, when I'm doing drums, I can use them on my overheads, and then I can use the rest of the Apollo pre's for everything else. I personally would recommend getting a nice set of outboard pre's. Okay, this one is from The Garden Audio. I record in Logic, but the guy mixes in Pro Tools. How should I send them? I would say send it as many ways as you can. So if you can send the full Logic folder, session folder, not session file, you know, save it as a session folder, zip that up, send that. And then I would also go through and I would export all tracks as audio files from Logic. You know, double check in Logic. You can do a save as, and I maybe create a save as your export, you know, session name, export, and then just go through and make sure that all of your gain staging from each individual track in Logic, it has a healthy output level. It's not too loud. You're not clipping. You're not pushing anything's distorting. And then export all those tracks as audio files into a wave subfolder, and then have that be all your individual tracks. Label that, zip that, send that as well. Also bounce a reference to give the mix engineer to see how you had it, so they can kind of understand where you were going and sort of what they need to bring to the table as well. Next question, Kid Nothing Music. Looking to buy my first outboard preamp. What are your thoughts on the WA73 EQ? So I have the WA273. Obviously, I love it. I've said it now 3 times in the video. The EQ version, you know, it's cool. I haven't used the EQs a lot. I don't typically EQ a lot going in. I haven't really A/B'd it with the actual one. I'm sure they're cool. But yeah, I love the pre's. JP, what's your next upgrade going to be in your studio? It's a good question. I just did some upgrades right before I did this video. There's going to be new gear. So both audio and video gear. So I'm going to get some lights, hopefully a new lens. If you guys like these videos and you want to support, by all means, please go to the website, ANDREWMASTERSmusic.com. You can make a donation to help with that. That would mean a lot to me. But yeah, just, you know, growing my gear and trying to make the best content that I can. I'm tossing around an idea of doing some sort of video course on a couple different things. If you guys have any interest in that, let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram, ANDREWMASTERSmusic. You can support the channel at the website. You can book me for Zoom calls, mixing, remote drumming. The remote drumming has been a lot of fun. If you guys need that, check that out, ANDREWMASTERSmusic.com. Hit the like button, subscribe, and maybe eventually I'll have like a member option where you can join down on the channel. So if that's available, it's probably just a financial contribution. I don't think you'll get anything. If you guys are into that, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for checking out the channel. Check out all the other studio tours, much cooler than mine, but I love this room and I'm happy to share it with you guys. And I love doing these videos. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. I missed. The red button on the handle is record.
Really?
Yep.
That was really good.